everyone, welcome to another episode of We Don't Watch Movies, featuring me, Corinne.
Sorry. Oh, me, Monze, the one going.
Yay!
We don't watch
Thank you.
movies.
We don't watch movies.
We don't watch movies.
So this week we're doing a contemporary film, at least at the time this was filmed.
At the time this was filmed?
At the time this was recorded. I'm going to talk about Moonfall. Moonfall! We're not talking about snowfall. We're not even talking about rainfall. We're not even talking about the season fall. We're talking about Moonfall.
I actually have something else I had planned. I can't. I hope you're not going to make me watch that trailer. I've seen it like 5 times, and I hate the trailer. It doesn't matter. I'm going to have to watch it anyway.
You're going to have to watch the trailer. Okay, so...
It's so stupid.
Oh, yeah. From our Lord and Savior, Roland Emmerich.
Your
God of the
Lord and
Disaster
Savior,
movies.
Roland Emmerich, not mine.
Yep. It's Moonfall time. The most expensive independently produced film to date.
Really?
I think so. It had a budget of about $146 million.
And no one wanted to make this movie?
I guess not.
Shocking. Absolutely shocking.
And it shows.
Yeah. The biggest name in it is, like, what, Halle Berry?
Yeah. To be fair, I think she's a pretty big name, but...
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, she's the biggest name in the film.
Yeah.
Because, like, yeah, like, my friend knew the main guy, and I was like, I don't know who that is. Like, you can keep telling me his name, but I don't know who that is.
Patrick Wilson.
Yeah. And then the other guy, the nerdy guy...
Oh yeah, Sam Tarley. I don't know.
I don't know who
John
he is.
Bradley or something. He's in Game of Thrones.
Is he?
Yeah.
He looked like a less annoying version of the guy who does Olaf from Frozen.
Josh Gad?
He looks like a less annoying version of Josh Gad. I find Josh Gad so annoying.
That's so funny.
And he's also like in everything. I'm like, why are you in everything?
He's in a lot of things. Like,
yeah.
For some reason, his career, like, really took off after Frozen. Even though I was like, this man was literally in Book of Mormon. Like...
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he originated the role of the bumbling friend character in Book of Mormon.
Well, I don't know anything about the Book of Mormon.
Oh, I recently re-listened to it, but I knew he was in it. I knew he had done... I'm pretty sure that's how they pulled him in, because the songwriters of Frozen worked on Book of Mormon.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Alrighty, well, Monze, what do you think this movie... Well, first of all, why haven't you seen this movie yet? I know it's only been theaters a couple weeks, but...
Yeah, it's only came out, because it looks so dumb. I was in the theater, I think I went to see Spider-Man, No Way Home, and there's the Moonfall trailer, and I'm like, this is so stupid. And then I saw it again when I went to see Kingsman, The Kingsman, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, this trailer again, this is so stupid. I think did I see a third movie in theaters? I don't know. And then, yeah, so every time I see that trailer, I'm just like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Not interested at all. And then they have, like, the Creedence Clearwater song, the Bad Moon Rising.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is a great song. And they've made it so stupid on this trailer. Like, you've ruined an amazing song.
Half the budget went to attaining the rights for that
song.
All right. So I think
$100 million went to the song, and the $47 million went to the rest of the movie.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what do you think happens in this movie?
Okay. Based on what I can remember from the trailer, this is so stupid. There's gotta be, like, a dumb I don't know any of my conspiracy theories, but there's definitely a moon conspiracy theory. It's probably like the moon is actually like a spaceship or something. Like it's actually like an alien planet. I don't know, something stupid. And I think the dorky looking guy is like, hey everybody, I love the moon conspiracy. And the moon's been acting like super weird lately, don't you think? And everyone's like, oh my god. Everyone in like his thing is like, oh my god, I think you're right? And anyway, he discovers something going on with the moon. And maybe he's being watched by the FBI or like the NSA or whatever, something stupid. Yeah. Because they're like, he's on to something. He knows that the moon is actually a spaceship and we've been keeping it quiet for years. The moon is actually a moon base that we put up there. We blew up the original moon and put up a fake moon. And no one knows. Something really dumb. And they're like, they come to get him and they're like, hey, you know what? I don't think it's in the trailer. I don't think that's right, but I like where this is going.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, no, that's definitely not it. I'm pretty sure he discovers something and he reaches out to Patrick Wilson and is like, hey, we're roomies now, but you used to be like a super badass NASA scientist guy and you still have connections with your ex-girlfriend Halle Berry. Don't you think this is super weird? And he like doesn't believe him, but then something happens and he's like, oh my god, I think you're right. So then they go to like NASA or something stupid and Halle Berry is like, oh my god, like why do you think this is true? It's totally not true. And they're like, we have data. And she's like, data? That's my aphrodisiac. And
nothing gets me hard like hard data.
Oh boy.
Ooh,
I love me a good statistic.
I love a good graph with a growing line.
Is that a line graph?
Is that an exponential curve? Are you just happy to see me?
This is so stupid. Yeah, and they're like, oh my god. So of course they have to like contact the president, and the president is like, oh my god, I think you're right. I think that. So anyway, they're like, the moon is gonna fall or it's gonna crash on the Earth, and he's like, oh my god, we have to do something. And so it's gonna be like Armageddon. They have to like go to the moon to like not drill into it like they do in Armageddon. What is it, Mars or whatever? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Oh, an asteroid. Yeah. But they're like, you have to go to the moon to destroy it. So they have like this big spaceship, and maybe like they already knew. Like there was the one guy that knew, so he was like a crazy scientist building a rocket in his backyard, and and they're like, how are we gonna build a rocket fast enough to get to the moon to destroy it? And he's like, I think I have something for you, and it like cuts to his backyard, and he like pulls like a giant tarp, and it's like, how come no one has noticed this like 20-foot tall tower in your backyard and talked about it before? And he's like, I don't know. And they all like get into the spaceship to go to the moon to blow it up, but like they're gonna go to the moon, but they discover it's not just like a moon base. So we're starting to fall apart. Like they discover that it's like not just a moon or whatever, or like a base. It's like a whole like army battalion thing, and they're like, oh no, there's moon monsters or moon aliens or whatever. Like, what are we gonna do? There's moon aliens. And they're like, well, we gotta fight against the moon aliens. And like, anyway, the moon starts. I think the moon does like halfway fall into the earth.
Just halfway.
And because of the moon thing, right? Like the oceans are rising, and like people are like, everything is flooding, we're dying. And yeah, they managed to destroy the moon base, and they're like, but now we don't have a moon. And then maybe that same guy who built the rocket was like, I've also been working on building a new moon. So they sent out a new moon to pull out into the gravitational pull of the Earth. And then they're like, no one will ever have to know that this happened. It's just another conspiracy. But like Halle Berry, Patrick Wilson, and the weird dorky guy are all like, but we know. And that's Moonfall.
I love it. I love this. I love this plot synopsis. I'm gonna tell you, some of it is like really on the right track. I think tonally you're completely on the right track.
Thank
but
you.
I will say what it actually is even stupider.
It's even stupider than this?
It is even
I can't help the fact that
stupider.
I'm so genius that I can't even make a properly good stupid movie.
Like, what you gave was pretty ridiculous, but what they gave us, like, you could not predict. You could not predict it. I like predicted 90% of it, but that last 10% took me all the way out. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Oh my god, like, move over M. Night Shyamalan. Roland Emmerich is now the king of plot twists, so...
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
was it all a dream? Was the moon a ghost the entire time?
Alright, let me find the trailer.
Is it Hollow Moon and then Hollow Earth?
We'll see.
I really want to know.
I know.
Kind of excited.
I'm gonna tell you. Alright, cool.
As oculists will know by now, a huge problem is heading our way. An emergency meeting is being called at our usual place.
Free bagels. Ugh. Lionsgate. What is it?
Discovery. I needed to get me in touch with NASA immediately. Well, NASA and I aren't really on speaking terms these days. Well,
that's gonna change.
When you tell them that the moon is out.
The moon is out of orbit.
The moon is out of orbit.
There's no need to panic. I'm not crazy.
I'm not crazy. Let me throw my papers. Oh, I forgot Donald Sutherland was in this.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to deny it.
Before NASA.
You are the unidentified source?
Oh, yes.
They try to explain. Is that like a moon worm? What is this? A moon worm? Screw the moon.
Yes, Brian.
I need you to be brave.
I don't think I've seen this.
Brave or not? Because the moon worm is coming for you. Oh, here we go. My favorite song.
Gravity wave coming your way. You have to launch now. Did he say gravity wave? Trouble.
On the way.
We're underwater, guys.
Look, my phone. It's floating because we're in space. The moonworm is chasing us. I never noticed a moonworm before, to be honest. Is it actually an egg? Oh my god. I have so many ideas now. Buckle up. Oh my god.
Wait for it.
And take your shots at the moonworm.
Let's go, you son of a...
Gotcha, you son of a bitch.
Yes!
I get you home.
Oh my god.
I haven't seen this trailer yet.
I've seen this trailer a million times.
Oh, I saw the other one.
No, I've seen this one.
Oh, wait, hold on.
I've seen this one a million times.
There's a better trailer. Hold on.
Is there?
Yeah. There's a better trailer.
This is the one I always see, and it's like, ugh,
The teaser trailer is better.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen this. Rocket taking off.
July 20th, 1969.
This is the trailer I've seen.
I've never seen this one. 1969. Okay.
In school, we were taught that Apollo 11 lost contact with the world.
I love this trailer.
Did it really lose contact with Albert Tunnel?
I think so.
Droid falling?
Not true.
Okay. Not true. Donald Sutherland, what are you saying?
They kept him for 50 years.
They found a worm?
And now, it's too late to stop.
What is this? From a director, Roland Emmerich.
Oh, this still isn't the trailer I'm thinking of, but this is a good trailer still.
Really?
There's another teaser.
I'm awake, sir. Humanity will face the dark side of the moon. This is so stupid.
I know.
5 extinctions. I know. It's been imaging recently. We talked about it.
dead? No, we are just.
Yes, your dad, Casey.
That might be the greatest sentence anyone's ever said.
Okay. Look. The moon isn't a moon. It's a thing.
Where is the teaser trailer I'm thinking of?
This is a teaser trailer.
I know, but there's another one.
Please don't make me watch a third trailer. Michael Pena's in this movie?
Yeah.
They didn't fake the moon landing, they faked the moon itself. Dun, dun, dun. These YouTube comments are pretty
Oh, okay. I found it now. Sorry, I'm gonna make you watch another one.
And we just said
No. This is the one I was thinking of.
Roland Emmerich is like a supervillain who keeps coming back with even bigger and more elaborate plans. Okay. Jesus,
This is the
three
last one I'm gonna
trailers.
make you. This is the last one I'm gonna make you watch.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Okay, Halle Berry. 2012 After Tomorrow. Moonfall. Now.
This is the one I see all the time.
Oh my god. I don't know, JFK. Do the other things. But the moon is on fire. The moon is coming for you. The oceans are rising! In the year 2022, the future.
The moon will come to us.
The moon will come.
To us.
To us.
I predicted it would say this in the theater when I first saw this.
Jesus.
Okay.
Houston, do your copy? Houston, do your copy?
So those are the trailers. The one you keep
Okay.
seeing in the theater is definitely the worst trailer.
Well, that's the one I kept saying.
Yeah.
Ugh. I
All
was
right.
like,
Do you
seriously, please.
do you want to amend any of what you?
Okay, the moon is an egg of a worm. It's a worm egg,
Mhm.
and it's been sitting there, just getting ready to be a worm, and it finally explodes. That's the only thing I'm amending.
The moon is actually the planet Arrakis. Okay. All right, you ready for this? I'm gonna tell you what happens. So this movie, still, okay. All right. So in 2011, astronauts Brian Harper and Jacinda Fowler, which Patrick Wilson and Halle Berry. Fun fact:
Okay.
Patrick Wilson is one of my younger sister's like giant man crush.
This guy?
Yeah, she loves him.
He's so like.
She loves him because he's in the Conjuring movies, and he was her favorite character.
Yeah, as a
in
Jew said,
Aquaman.
he's like, oh, that's the guy from The Conjuring, and he said it like I was dumb. Like, why don't you know that? I was like, because I don't watch The Conjuring.
He's in like a lot of movies. He's like that actor that's in like a bunch of movies, but no one knows like
Knows his
who
name.
He is. Yeah,
Like, yeah, I recognize his face for sure. I recognize him.
yeah, but yeah. So that's my sister's celebrity crush. She just really likes him.
She needs to find a better celebrity crush. There's better ones out there.
And my mom likes him too.
What is he's so like boring, and his forehead's so big. Okay.
All right, so he and Halle Berry, Jacinda Fowler, are on a space shuttle mission to repair a satellite when Harper witnesses a mysterious black swarm attack the orbiter, killing a crewmate and incapacitating Fowler before Harper can re-enter the shuttle and take control. It also knocks.
Oh, is that where the scene where like the thing is in its face? It looks
No,
like it grabs someone's face? Okay.
No, that's a different scene.
Okay.
This is the one where it's like he gets like spun around and he's like looking and you can see the reflection of the swarm coming.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. And Halle Berry's like floating in the space shuttle. So like it like knocks out the power in the space shuttle, and the other guy, like they get like separated. He like tries to grab his hand, but he still like he loses him. And he's also like swerving around and all that. Like it's a horrible accident. And he gets back in the shuttle because he's the pilot, and he like successfully lands it into like the ocean. Mm-hmm. But no one believes him when he says what happened. And he also says like, I saw like this like black fuzz thing come out of like this specific crater in the moon. But like all the black boxes are out because the power was out, so there's no like recording of anything of that or anything like that. And he's like standing trial, but his Jacinda is like trying to defend him, but they're asking her like, could you say that like something else caused this to happen? She was like, well, I guess, but, and they're like, that's all we need. So he's like, you betrayed me. And so there's like this whole 18-month long investigation, and he's fired, and they just say that it was his fault that the guy died. And like he has to move, and he's got like this 10-year-old son or whatever watching everything happening, and his wife is like, we gotta move, and he's like, I don't want to live in Jersey, but like that's all happening. Okay. So no one believes him, and he's a disgraced astronaut.
Of course.
10 years later, conspiracy theorist Casey Houseman, who is like the other guy, the Game of Thrones guy, he believes the moon is an artificial megastructure. That's the conspiracy. And
well, he's right, because I saw the thing where they were inside the moon, and I saw the thing, so I know it's not an egg. But
yeah. So he thinks it's a megastructure, and he's like pretending to be a janitor so that he can sneak some time into like a research telescope in someone's like office at this school. And he discovers the moon is out of orbit and is veering closer to Earth, and he's like, holy shit. So he is trying to like get this information to NASA, but they're like, I know we have a restraining order or whatever, but like I need
I know I have a restraining order, but let me in.
Yeah, he's like trying to call, and he's like, please, I need to email this to like Dr. Fowler or whatever. Like he's trying to get to NASA, it's not working. And then he sees that Patrick Wilson's character is going to be speaking at Griffith Observatory. It's like Meet an Astronaut Day or something. So he's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go there. So he goes there, but they all think that like he's the astronaut. Like there's a bunch of kids there, and they're like, are you the astronaut? And he's like, well, I guess I'll just pretend to be one. So he starts telling them that the moon is a megastructure.
Oh my god.
And he's like, how do like solar eclipses happen? They're like, it only happens like because the sun is 400 times bigger than the moon, or the earth is 400 times bigger than the moon, or some bullshit like that, and that's the only way it works, and the moon is exactly 400 miles away from the earth, and like someone had to put it there specifically, like it's a mega structure.
Really?
Kind of thing. Yeah.
That's so dumb.
He's trying to say like it's too perfect, it's too coincidence kind of thing. And the kids are like, oh my god.
You're right. We're so impressionable because we're 6 years old.
Literally. And then finally Patrick Wilson shows up, and he's like living in some dumb fuck little apartment, and like his landlord is like yelling at him to pay his rent, and he's like, I'll do it later. And he runs away, and he goes to the observatory, and he's like, sorry, I'm late. And the teachers are like, bro, this guy is spouting nonsense nonstop. And the Casey
well, the
goes
teachers
up to him.
could be like, he's not an astronaut. Get out of here.
I think they don't know, but I don't know. Anyways, so Casey comes up to him, and he's like, I need to talk to you. And he's like, what? And he's like, the moon is a megastructure, and it's out of orbit. Like, can you help me with NASA? And the guy's like, you are crazy. Security, come get him. And that's where he's like, look, read my stuff. So he throws
my notes.
Yeah, he throws the paper at him.
I didn't staple it. It's all loose paper.
Yeah. And then also NASA is discovering, like, hey, the moon.
Hey, isn't it weird that the moon is out of orbit?
Literally, like, at NASA independently, they find out, like, oh, it is. And they're like, we can't tell anybody. The moon looks like it's heading to Earth, and it's going to hit us in 3
Everyone
days.
does that. Don't tell anyone. No, just tell people.
I know. That was, like, the whole point of 2012. It was,
I
like,
know. I just re-listened to that episode, and I was like, just tell everyone.
So, but yeah, so NASA's like, oh my god, then they're having like this whole meeting, and they're like, it's gonna hit the Earth in 3 days, and the NASA director is like, we can't tell anyone because there's gonna be mass chaos if they know the world is gonna end. We gotta figure out a strategy and figure out what we're gonna do, basically. Mm-hmm. And so they like send a mission to the moon, and they're thinking about sending a mission to the moon, but then like Casey is like, no one believes me, and he goes to talk to his mom who has like dementia. Jesse was like, this is the worst portrayal of Alzheimer's I've ever seen on film. It was pretty bad. And she like at first recognizes him and then doesn't, but she's like, you gotta make them believe or whatever. And he's like, what would Elon do? And he goes, okay, there's like a weird amount of Elon Musk SpaceX.
What would Elon do?
Yeah, there's a weird amount of stuff there.
Because he's useless.
Yeah. So Casey leaks the information online. So now everyone is like, oh my god, like the moon is falling to the Earth. And NASA's like, fuck, who leaked this? And they're like, I don't know, it wasn't me, but we need to do like a press conference. They do a press conference. They're like, it's gonna be okay. We're gonna like send something to the moon and figure out what's going on, basically. So they do that, and they send like some mission to go figure out like what's happening, what's going on with the moon. So they send like 3 astronauts over there, and you've got like the little camera, and they're like, okay, we're gonna drop a little like drone thing into the crater. He's just right there.
I know, he's just looking like.
I see you two have made up.
We have.
Yeah. So they drop the thing in, and they're like, oh, this like the same crater that Patrick Wilson's character was like the swarm came out of. They're like, oh, it's like it keeps going. So they're like counting like how deep it's going. They're like, how deep does this thing go? And it goes like 27 miles or something like that. I don't know. And then it goes 26, 25, 24, 23, and it starts coming back up towards them. They're like, oh my god, it's coming back, something's coming. So they're like, put your helmets on, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, what's going on? They're trying to like leave, but the giant like swarm that you see in the beginning of the movie comes up out of the moon, and it directly goes towards the space shuttle. And that's where you see like they like kill all 3 astronauts by like punching through the helmets.
Oh,
yeah.
I see.
And you get like a POV shot of it like before like the camera cuts out. Pretty brutal scene. And so they're like, oh my god, now what are we gonna do? And then like the whole spaceship gets destroyed. So they're like, that was our only one.
We only have one spaceship.
Yeah. So they're trying to figure out like what to do next. And meanwhile, like the moon is getting closer and closer and causing like this whole tidal wave thing. And Patrick Wilson is like, wait, this guy yesterday was talking about the moon being out of orbit. So he goes back to Griffith. Oh, there's also like this weird subplot of like his son got caught for like joyriding and speeding in a car in California, and his like ex-wife now is like married to Michael Pena. And
I get it.
Yeah, and he goes.
I will leave Patrick Wilson for Michael Pena any day of the week.
Yeah, Michael Pena's
even if Michael Pena is a Scientologist.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Big L.
I know.
Big L. I watched a whole documentary on that. Ooh.
Yeah.
They got.
That. He was like, "Did you know that Michael Pena is a Scientologist?" And I was like, "Why did you ruin him for me?" And he was like, "I just learned about it, and I was like, well, don't tell me."
They got dirt on him. They got dirt on him, and they got dirt on John Travolta. That must be why they're still in there. Like, they're not letting them leave. Anyways, so like earlier in the movie, Patrick Wilson like runs to his son's like court hearing or whatever, and Michael Pena had hired like a lawyer because he's like this rich hotshot like expensive car salesman.
I love that for him.
Yeah, and he's like, I've got the lawyer there, whatever. But then Patrick Wilson is like misbehaving in court and just kind of like yelling, and he's like, why isn't the lawyer saying anything? My son's a good boy, blah blah blah. And the judge is like, I'm holding you in contempt of court, and I'm maximizing like this kid's sentence because you won't shut up. And he's like, you can't do that. And the lawyer's like, why the fuck wouldn't you just shut up? And then and then they get on the phone, and Michael Pena's like, what the fuck, man? I had it under control. And he's like, no, I'm his real dad. He's like, okay, well, like, now he's in jail because of you.
So, like, great job.
Yeah, they're arguing about all of it, and then, like, the court's not going to reopen until Monday. And then this is where Patrick Wilson learns about the moon falling, because he tries to bribe the judge with, like, this old car he's, like, trying to remake or whatever. He's like, I got this car, and the judge is like, are you trying to bribe me? And he's like, no, but, like, listen, and he's like, we're not opening the courts early. Like, I don't know if you've seen the news or not. So that's when they find out.
But the moon is falling.
Yeah, so he goes to Griffith Observatory, and he, like, finds the paperwork that in, like, the trash because it hasn't been taken out yet. And he watches the video where the guy is telling them what's going on, and there's also, like, this meeting thing where it's like, meet up here, and it's, like, the Palms Hotel or whatever. So he's like, okay. So he goes to the meeting, and it's like him and a bunch of other mega structuralists who are like talking about the moon. And he's like, we gotta figure out what we're gonna do. What are we gonna do? And I'm like, there's like 10 people in this room in the hotel, and there's a giant wave coming. I don't know what you're trying to do. Anyways, and then Casey and Patrick Wilson like go to a diner, and Casey like explains to him the whole thing. He's like, you're gonna call me crazy, and he's like, try me, and he's like, okay, and he tells him, he's like, that is crazy, but I have to believe you. And then that's when like the power flickers, and then the wave comes in, and I was expecting a lot more from this wave scene, because I'm like, yes, LA's gonna get flooded, but it was just like really dark, and then the boat just like crashed in. It was coming to the hotel, and they're like, we gotta get out, and then they see the giant wave. They're like, no, we gotta go upstairs. And then like Casey gets like knocked over by the wave and like almost drowns in like 3 feet of water, but then like Patrick Wilson pulls him up onto the steps, and then that's it. And I'm like, you didn't even run upstairs. Like, I thought things were gonna like flood and whatever, but no.
You didn't even run upstairs.
Yeah, so they're upstairs. They finally get upstairs later off camera. And so now the moon is continuing to go down and all that stuff. And meanwhile,
the moon is continuing to fall, Corinne. Use the correct terminology.
Continuing to fall. Meanwhile, back at NASA, her head honcho, as soon as he sees the footage of like the astronauts dying, he like gets on his phone with his wife. He's like, look, I'm going to come over there. We're going to go to Colorado or whatever. And also Michael Pena and the ex-wife are like, we're going to the house in Colorado because they're watching the news. And the mom is like, but what about like our kid? And Michael Pena is like, we'll figure it out, but we need to go. Like, we're not safe here. And
what can you do? He's in jail.
Yeah, Michael's like, I'm gonna try to get him out of there, but for now we gotta go. We got 2 other kids, you know, which are like his actual kids too. But the mom's like, no, but my first son. He's like, I love him too.
My actually fully white child.
So now the director's like, we're not gonna do anything, and Halle Berry's like, how could you? And he's like, well, you want my job, right? Here, take my card key. You're the director now.
Wow.
Also, look up the truth of Apollo 11, and then he leaves. And she's like, okay.
Also, I know things, but I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm just going to give you a cryptic hint and run away.
Literally. So she goes...
The moon is falling to Earth. There's, like, nowhere to go where you are safe.
I don't even know. I don't even know. So she goes to, like, some secret NASA library. NASA? I don't know how to pronounce it.
NASA library.
I know. NASA library in Long Island. And she's, like, looking around for the records. And they're like, you're not supposed to be here. She's like, I'm the director. I've got clearance. And they're like, okay. And then Donald Sutherland is, like, at his desk in a wheelchair.
Being a creep.
Cleaning his gun.
He's cleaning his gun?
He's cleaning, like, a pistol.
Was he an original astronaut or whatever that they never talked about?
You know what? I don't know. He, like, sees Halle Berry come in, and then he mysteriously rolls his wheelchair down
and
to
he's
her.
like, I have secrets I need to tell you.
He's like, you shouldn't be here. And she's like, I'm the director. And she's reading this file. Oh, and then her ex-husband is like, they mentioned her husband in the beginning of the movie, but she has like an ex-husband who's like a general. And he also like, I don't know what was going on. He was like, we got to make sure our kid is okay. And she's also got like a foreign exchange student at her house who's like looking after her kid. But like, I thought it was her like hot Asian wife because I was like really confused because there was like two women in the house, and I was like, oh, she really like glowed up with this remarriage here, and she was like, don't
She
worry, I'll
really
take
glowed
care
up
of
with the
him.
remarriage.
I know, I was like, oh, I guess it's your new wife, but then they like didn't kiss or embrace or anything, but they still talked like they were a couple. But then it was like I didn't find out till much later in the movie, like, oh, she's an exchange student, um, just happening to live there, I guess, because China's funding this movie too. So basically Donald Sutherland's like, when Apollo 11 landed on the moon, there was a 2 minute blackout. It's because the moon reverberated when it landed, which suggests
Okay.
the moon is hollow.
Hollow Moon!
Yeah.
It's so good.
And they were saying that like, oh, we knew about this swarm apparently, but because something happened later and we started making a weapon with code ZX7, which is an EMP to kill the swarm, but we abandoned it because we ran out of money. And she's like, what else can you tell me? And he's like, I have to go to do something upstairs.
I have to go now. I'm done being a creepy old man.
And she's
Let
like,
me just
okay.
wheel out of here.
So
Can
he
you
just
hold open the door we don't have?
Yeah, he just wheels his way upstairs where I think he presumably kills himself with a pistol.
Whoa, with his gun?
Yeah, he's like cleaning it and putting it together at his desk. I'm like, he must be, but we don't like hear anything or whatever. He just ominously goes upstairs to the business on his
And
desk.
you never hear from him again.
And we never hear from him again. Yes. So then she calls her ex-husband. She's like, what do you know about this EMP? He's like, who told you that? And she's like, it doesn't matter. Can we use the EMP? And he's like, well, there was a giant flood in LA and everything's wrecked. And also we don't even have like a spaceship. And she's like, I guess you're right. And she goes home to her kid, and the kid's like, are we gonna be okay or whatever? And she's like, sure. And then somehow
Sure.
she gets
I guess.
I think her husband's also like, you need to get like you and the kid need to come to this military base in Colorado or whatever. Like you need to get here. Like
How
there's a
come
bunch of
everyone
heroes.
just happens to be going to Colorado?
They just are up in the mountains. He's like, you gotta get here, get the son here, because like this is a safe place. I can get you in. The Chinese exchange student is like, well, I have clearance, and she's like, you should be okay. And then the kid like says something, I forgot what, but Halle Berry's like, oh my god, what if we use the space shuttle Endeavour, which is conveniently here in Los Angeles at the Los Angeles Science Museum? Can't we use that? And they're like, okay, sure, I guess. So they decide, and that's what they
Everything
like.
that's happening is like shrug. Okay.
Pretty much. That's where like the thing where it's like screw the moon. It's like they find the Endeavour and like the totally destroyed museum, but somehow the Endeavour isn't completely wrecked by the flood. It's just standing there. So and then she also calls in a favor from like the pilot guy because they don't have any pilots. So she's like, I need you. You're the only person who
Patrick
knows how
Wilson?
to like, yeah. She's like, you know
Okay.
how to fly a space shuttle. And he's like, you betrayed me though. And she's like, yeah, but I
mistakes, Patrick Wilson.
pretty much. She's like, but now the end of the world is happening. So they're like, okay. So yeah, so they're like, let's use Endeavour. So they like drive Endeavour down the street in LA like before, except everything's like wrecked. And Jesse was like, how did the Endeavour like not get ruined by the water? But that's a question for another day. It won't be answered in this movie. Yeah, so they go to Vandenberg Space Force Base.
It's my favorite Space Force base.
It's in Northwest California. I don't even know how they get there that fast. Anyways, they go there. And also Patrick Wilson's like, I need a favor. I need you to release my son. So she's like, okay, I'll do that if you'll fly this space shuttle for me. And he's like, okay, cool. So they're like, we have this crew. We've got like a like a navigator and a math person for this. So they're trying to get everything done, but then there's like this giant earthquake that happens for like
Of
no
course.
reason. Because they're like, the moon's gravity is affecting the plates of the earth.
The tectonic plates.
Yes. So it like,
Okay.
doo-doo-doo. And they're like, oh no, and it like destroys one of the engines and the coolant or whatever for the stupid space shuttle. So they're like, we can't fly it with only 2 working engines when it needs 3. And then she's like, what do we do? They're like, I guess you're gonna have to call it off. So she's like, okay, everyone, thanks for all your help, but mission's canceled. Go home.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah! Yes! She gives like this whole sad speech about it, and then, but then they're like, wait, then, oh, Casey is like talking to these 2 NASA scientists who have been there from like the get-go. And he's like, oh, the gravity's wrong because you're trying to, like, this is the moon's gravity based on this and this, but actually the gravity's going to be different. And they basically tell Halle Berry later, and she's like, go home. They're like, wait, Halle, listen, the gravity, there's going to be a gravity wall where the moon is going to come above and it's going to loosen the Earth's gravity. So you
What?
don't need as much thrust to get the space shuttle up. So you could fly it with 2 engines by just using the moon's gravitational pull as like a jumping point, you know? It's like suddenly this area will have a lot less gravity, so you don't need as
Okay.
much power to get up into the air, is what they're saying.
Okay.
Like a reverse trampoline. So they're like, she's like, okay, but we already sent everybody home. But then Patrick Wilson's still there. So she's like, okay, Patrick can fly it. I'll navigate it just like old times. We just need a math person. So they're like, we need a mega structuralist. So Casey gets to finally be an astronaut, just like his childhood dream. So they're like, yay! And then she, instead of driving her own son over to like her ex-husband, she puts the Chinese exchange student and the
You're like really bitter about this.
I wish it was her wife. Anyway, she puts this girl and the student and Patrick Wilson's newly released son in charge of her kid, and she puts like a walkie-talkie in there that's like set to the guy's phone number, and she's like, call your dad, let him know everything's gonna be okay. I love you so much, more than the stars in the sky. And this dumbass kid is like, more than the Milky Way? And she's like, yes, even more than the Milky Way. I'm like, the Milky Way would be included in all of the stars.
You're so stupid, kid. Why don't you know anything about space? Your mom is an astronaut and she works for NASA.
Yeah, so they have like
Why
this
are you an idiot?
So they have this whole moment, and then they drive off, and then they're like going to launch. So they're getting ready to launch, and then the final scientists are like getting into the helicopter to leave, but the gravity wave is coming towards them, and for some reason they're by the ocean, so all the water is
For
rising.
some reason they're by the ocean.
Yeah, it's like rising up basically into this giant typhoon wave that's about to like hit the station. And there's like a really confusing editing moment where like the scientists get in the helicopter, and then we see like a faraway shot of the helicopter about to get hit by the wave, and then we see them in the window looking out and seeing the wave, which looks really far away, and then we see the helicopter get crushed. So I'm like, oh, I guess they just died.
Wait, who died?
The scientists from the beginning, the 2 like young NASA tech people. Yeah. I was like, oh no, they were cute. So they get smushed by the tsunami water wave. And then the people in the car, they just stop the car to watch the launch. And I'm like, you're like a mile away. You're not even a mile away. Like, you need to go. Like, this thing is coming. The moon is not waiting. Like, get out of there. You're gonna get, like, airlifted up into the sky. But they're just, like, watching.
Wouldn't you?
No. The space shuttle, like...
No,
the space shuttle launches. Like, you can watch out the rearview window. Like, take a video shot. I'll watch it later.
Window.
Yeah. Rearview mirror. So the space shuttle launches with the EMP, and it's like a remote EMP. It's like all you gotta do is like press the button and hold it, blah 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 blah. Oh, and then also they were saying that like SpaceX helped funded things, and that's how they were able to get stuff. And then they're like, I love Elon, and I'm like, shut up, shut
How
up,
much did
shut
Elon
up.
Musk pay
That's what I want to
to
know.
get his?
That's what I
How
want
much
to
of
know.
his money was funded in this? Because
Like-
they're really jerking him off in this movie.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of product placement. They mentioned him a few times. It was just weird. Anyways, they successfully launched with the EMP using the stupid gravity wave. And then like the gravity wave just like disappeared. Like after the moon passes over, the gravity goes back to normal. Anyways, and then in the car they're just like driving off. They're like, okay. So on Earth, there's like this whole, oh no, we meet some looters and they steal the kid's backpack, and which has like the phone. So they're like, what do we do? And then like they don't have the car anymore, so then they have to walk, and they get to like the gated community in Colorado with like where his mom and stepdad are. So they get in there and they're like, we need to get to this military base. But then they see on the news that the moon's gravity is so strong now because it's so close that the atmosphere is dissipating. What that means is
Tell
the
me what does it mean?
moon's gravity is so strong, it is pulling the oxygen away from the Earth.
It's just sucking the oxygen out of the earth. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Just when I was zoning out, you pulled me back in. Okay.
And then the great part is the little girl, like the youngest sister, is like, what's atmosphere dissipation? And her older sister is like, it means the oxygen is disappearing, dummy. And I was like,
You idiot! They didn't teach you that in kindergarten.
Literally. And Michael
Oh.
Pena has like the genius 9,000 level IQ thought of, let's go to the fire station and take all the oxygen tanks that the firefighters use and the gas masks so we can survive in case we don't make it out here in time to escape the atmosphere dissipation. And then when that happens, they get attacked by looters again, but then like the guy has like a gun that his dad gave him randomly earlier. So they manage to scare them off, but they get into the car and they're like, okay, well, we gotta go like now. We're gonna try to go over to like this base or whatever because they can't stay in that neighborhood. And then at the military base, the general guy, everyone's like, all right, this EMP doesn't work. We're gonna nuke the moon.
Of course.
Halle-
It's always nuking the moon. It's always nuking something.
always nuking. They're always nuking. They're like, we're gonna microwave this moon. But Halle Berry's like, but what about the radioactive fallout? And he's like, I don't know what to tell you. And then she tells like Patrick Wilson, she's like, they're gonna nuke the moon if this doesn't work, so we have to make this work fast.
So we
And he's
have
like,
to make it work.
yeah. And he's like, but what about the radioactive fallout? She's like, that's what I said.
Everyone is like...
Because the moon's... Because the moon's just gonna be so close to the Earth that it's just gonna totally fuck up everything.
Yeah.
So, but the army
Well,
is
only like half of the planet because the moon only faces one like side
yeah,
as the Earth turns or whatever.
yeah.
I mean, if you really want to be like big picture.
But yeah, so they're like, no, you can't nuke the moon, you can't do it. And then the ex-husband realizes his like ex-wife is up over there in the moon. He's like, oh man, oh no, I'm gonna
I
try
can't
to stall for as much time
nuke
as
my
I can.
ex-wife.
So like that's happening, and then before they get to the Colorado thing, the gravity like affects. There's like this RV camp they stumble upon, and then like the gravity starts like pulling up like the cars and stuff because another gravity wave is coming, and the kid almost gets like lifted up, but that's the scene where she's like, hold on, he's like, don't let go of me. And she's like, I got you. And they're like in this barn, and they like manage to get in the barn, which doesn't get lifted up by the moon. And then there's like this tractor that like slides ominously towards them, but then it cuts, and then just nothing happens out of that. So it's like, okay, the moon can lift giant cars, but it can't like lift up 3 humans. But
When you have a strong foundation, you know, that's why they say foundation is the most important thing, whether it's in a house or a relationship. But as long as your foundation, your core is strong, nothing can lift you except yourself.
Yeah, that's true. That's
So,
true. If
that down.
if you can't lift yourself up by your bootstraps, how can you expect the moon to lift you? Anyways, so that also happened before they get to the Colorado thing. So meanwhile, back at the moon. So
meanwhile, back at the ranch.
Back at the ranch, they like drive over to the moon in the spaceship thing. And they go inside the moon.
Come inside the moon.
They go into the moon. And like the swarm is there and starts like attacking them. But then they realize that like the swarm is attracted to like the power. And they had also noticed that like the moon had previously started to return to its orbit when the stuff came out to attack the previous 3 astronauts, which they showed that clip like 2 or 3 more times in the movie. And it's like, why do we keep seeing this really like gross attack? But anyways, so somehow they put 2 and 2 together where it's like, we have to make sure all the power's off. So Patrick Wilson's trying to like drive with the lights off and stuff. But then Casey's got like his phone going, and they're like, oh no, the alien's gonna find us. They're like, turn off your phone. So like Patrick Wilson like breaks the phone. He's like, oh man, dude. But they keep like driving around into the moon, and then somehow like at one point he's like, I'm not driving this thing, and they're like, what's going on? He's like, I can't control, and they get like swooped into like this inner sanctum of the moon. So like they've already established that the moon is like a megastructure, but the moon, the way these megastructures work is that the power, the energy, in case you're wondering, comes from a trapped white dwarf star at the core.
Wait. So there is a star inside the moon.
Yes. There is a star, a white dwarf in the middle of the moon, and
they built around it.
And the evil alien swarm surrounds the white dwarf star until it senses a threat, and then it leaves to go attack the threat. So they get pulled into this inner sanctum, and then also one of like Casey's previous like megastructuralist friends was like, I bet there's fields inside the moon, like pastures or something. And lo and behold, there are fields inside the moon. And then so where
fields of what?
I don't know. And then in the middle with the dwarf star, there's like these giant rings that like revolve around it. And Halle Berry's like, it's like a gyroscopic sphere. That's how the moon stabilizes itself. And I was like, oh my God. So that's also happening. So basically the orbit destabilizes every time the thing is around it, but it tries to recorrect itself when the thing is not on it. So they get pulled into this inner sanctum room, and they like kind of get knocked out initially, and like the EMP is like toast, and their space shuttle is like broken because they almost got like killed by this thing. And then Brian, what's his name? Brian Harper. I almost said Brian Wilson, but that's a different man. So Halle Berry and Casey like wake up, and they're like, wait, where did the other guy go? And then we find the other guy, and he's like in this room. Now
Wilson?
Yeah, Patrick Wilson's like in this other room. Now before I get to Patrick Wilson in this other room, I should tell you, back on Earth, the atmosphere is being dissipated, but they're like toddling around into like this cave or whatever. And then
I love your toddling motion. I wish everyone could see
thank
this.
you.
You look like an anime girl, like running.
But then, like, of course, Michael Pena's youngest daughter is like, it's not working. I can't breathe. My lungs hurt. And he's like, oh no, baby, it's okay. And he, like, gives her his gas mask. And then, like, he takes hers, but it's obviously broken. Like, could have predicted that as soon as they went to go get the stuff. And then he's like, she falls like behind her, and she's like, Daddy's like, no, keep going, keep going. And he's like, right, left, remember like when you first started walking. Like the 6-year-old's gonna remember like a
What do you mean you don't remember when you first started walking, Corinne?
I do have a memory of me first learning how to stand, but I don't know if that's a real memory or if it's just implanted because I heard the story so many times.
It was implanted by the White Dwarf star inside of the movie.
Yes.
Much like the White Dwarf star, it was implanted into your memory.
My brain, the mega structure of my brain. But anyway, so like Michael Pena suffocates to death during this atmosphere dissipation.
Way to kill.
Yeah.
Way to kill Michael Pena.
Yeah. And then the daughter's like, right, left, walking to the cave. And then the mom's like, where's your dad? And she's like, I don't know. He was right behind me. And then they're like,
the mom isn't even keeping track of her husband?
Yeah, I don't
or
even know.
Or her kids? What is wrong with this lady?
I don't know. And then also, so they're like, oh no, my husband. And then like her son is like, I'm gonna go look for him. But then like the gravity wave is happening and things are exploding everywhere. And then she's like, no. And then the other girl like goes out to go look for him, and there's like this giant like tree on him. But then the moon comes over and lifts the tree.
I'm glad the moon is here to do all the heavy lifting.
Lifts it up out of him. And then also like in New York I think the moon starts like actually colliding into the earth at some point. And then like the New York City stuff gets like crushed and like pushed around the world and all that. So anyways, back at the moon. So my favorite part of the movie. Patrick Wilson wakes up in this white room and he sees in front of him a vision of his child when he was younger. And he's like having this whole moment. He's like, wait, you're not really my kid. Who are you? And they're like, no, I'm an AI representing something close to you because we scanned your memories. And he's like, what? What is happening? And they're like, would you do anything for your kid? He's like, of course. He's like, would you even die for your kid? And he's like, of course. And then they're like, okay, we'll tell you what's going on. And the kid is like saying all this, and then the kid goes into like this weird delivery monologue, and he goes, long ago, billions of years ago, far away from here, there were your ancestors had this thriving civilization. There was no war. There was nothing wrong. It was a utopia, and we had built this AI that took care of everything we ever wanted. But then one day the AI gained sentience and hated us and then tried to kill all of us. And it's specifically programmed to seek out organic matter mixed with electric pulses or whatever, which is like how it found the previous spaceship, because like the astronauts were in there and the power was on. But why it didn't attack the spaceship at the beginning of the movie, because the power got knocked out. So even though there was organic matter, there was no electricity, which is why they were like, we have to like drive around with no electricity because we're organic matter in here. So that's like what the swarm picks up on. And they're like, but then our ancestors, trying to protect ourselves, made these giant arcs like this moon. And we made so many of them to try to further our species and protect us. But only one was completed before the AI found us and destroyed everything else. But also, we couldn't go into the moon because if we did, it would alert the swarm where the moon was, because the organic matter can't be in this thing. So then they say, so we like all of us died knowing that the moon, our progeny, would like come from the moon. So the moon, basically, this megastructure moon thing, goes wandering around the space and everything, and then finds our solar system, finds the perfect place and conditions to create life, spins around really fast, and spits out the ingredients to make the planet Earth. And then after the planet Earth has been formed by the moon rains down and injects into it DNA and protein strands so that human beings could once again evolve and grow onto the planet Earth. So essentially, the planet Earth exists because it was created by the moon, which was created by ancient, super intelligent, billions of years ago human beings to like replant humans again. And the AI didn't find the moon until our moon mission, when we landed on the moon and it reverberated. And because there was organic material on electric whatever, the swarm found the moon and like has been slowly trying to like take over the moon and stuff, and is finally successful. And it wants to destroy the moon first so that it can like, because even though it knows the Earth is right there, it's like, no. If I destroy the Earth, the moon will just fly off again and make a new Earth. So I'm going to destroy the moon by destroying the Earth with the moon so that it could never do that again. And they said, we need someone to stay behind and sacrifice themselves to set off the EMP in the moon so that the swarm gets killed, but the moon doesn't get destroyed and all of humanity can live on. Can you do that for us?
There's an EMP in the moon?
No, they brought the EMP from
I was
Earth.
like, they programmed an EMP in the moon? Okay.
No. They brought it from Earth. And, like, it was broken, but then the moon AI was like, let me fix that for you, and fixed the spaceship.
Let me get my screwdriver real
Literally,
quick.
like, just scanned it and fixed the spaceship and the EMP. So they're like, Patrick Wilson, can we count on you to sacrifice yourself to save humanity? And he's like, yeah. So then Halle Berry and Casey like run into him, and he tells them like what's going on, and then they're like, okay, well, let's do some fancy flying to trap this thing and like do the EMP thing. So they're like, okay. And then Patrick Wilson's like getting ready to do it, but then Casey Bradley's like, no, wait, I'm gonna do it. So he like goes into the back and seals himself off, and he's like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna sacrifice myself. And Patrick Wilson's like, no. And he's like, you believed in me. I'm gonna do this. And he's like, okay. So then he sets off the EMP and it destroys the whole AI swarm and saves the moon. Oh, and then also like right before this happens, the general, they're like, okay, we're gonna nuke it. Let's put in our keys in at the same time. Let's turn it and press the button. But then the ex-husband is like, no, I can't do it. My ex-wife is up there. The other guy's like, yeah, my wife is down here and I'm trying to save her. And I was like, oh, we love a wife guy. And then he's like, no, I can't do it. And then he's like, I refuse to do it. And he backs out of the room, and then something happens, and then the whole bunker like collapses and everyone dies there. Anyway, so the moon finally gets saved, and it's like crushing the Earth, but then as soon as they destroy it, it's like, whoop, I'm gonna go back into space now. And then, like, their spaceship is, like, basically destroyed, but they just kind of, like, fall to Earth anyways, because Earth is, like, 10 feet away from the surface of the moon now. So, like, okay, cool. And,
No!
Yeah. And they end up on, like, the top of Colorado or whatever. And they see, and the kid's like, where are you, Mom, or whatever? And she's like, I'm by the Chrysler Building, because the top of the Chrysler Building from New York is now, like, landed on the top of Colorado. So, anyways, there's like another chase scene where like the looters from before try to like run after them, but then they all die because the moon is fucking things up.
Classic moon.
Yeah. So let's see. I'm pretty sure that's just pretty much it. So the moon like goes back, and they're like, okay, I guess now it's time to try to figure things out. And they're like, okay, yeah, sure. And then inside the moon, we see Casey get like recreated and like the AI hologram. He's like, I thought I died. And they're like, you did die, but we uploaded your consciousness into the AI, so now you're a part of the moon computer. And also, here's a hologram of your mother who's also part of the moon computer. And he's like, what now? And she's like, we've got a lot of work to do. And then the movie ends. So.
It's so stupid.
I know!
Oh my god.
Didn't I tell you? Like, I had predicted that the moon was like, I also thought maybe it's an egg, maybe it's a this, whatever. But then I was like, no, wait, I bet the moon is like man-made, and it was made by the Americans after they landed on the moon or something like that. Like, I bet they drilled into the moon and then made it. So I was expecting the plot twist to be like, they're in the moon and looking around. And I thought that the Americans were going to try to use the moon as like a weapon, right? And they made the AI and it got out of hand. So I was expecting there to be a scene where someone's like looking, they're like, oh, guys, you should see this. And then they look and it's like this dramatic music. And then you see like the American flag like emblazoned on like the interior of the moon and be like, oh my God, it was us. So I thought that was going to be the twist. I would have screamed in the theater. But the twist of it like still being made by humans, but humans from billions of years ago.
Can't stop, won't stop.
I could not have predicted that. And just
I don't think anyone could have predicted
I could not have predicted that, like, at all. And then the next bit of, like, actually the Earth was made by the moon. And the moon has human DNA in it. Like, that's some Titan AE bullshit. But worse than Titan AE.
Okay, Corinne, but what's better? Is it better that the Earth was created by the moon by humans billions of years ago? Or that love is quantifiable?
I feel like
they're both ridiculous.
I feel like the Earth was made by a moon that was created by humans billions of years ago. At least is like, okay, maybe. But love is quantifiable. It's just like, no. How do you quantify an emotion? So, but I just, like, I think I knew in the back of my head the Titan AE similarities, but I just, like, saying it out loud, I'm like, it is literally, like, it's just a horrible version of Titan AE, because that's, like, the whole Titan planet is, like, can remake the Earth.
I haven't seen that movie.
That was the whole point. Oh, spoilers.
Spoilers, Green! No!
Yeah, so, thoughts on the film?
Wow. That's a real banger right there. Mm-hmm. Just as terrible as I thought it was gonna be. Right, George?
Stupider than you thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Somehow, I already thought it was going to be pretty dark. Gosh darn stupid. So they did want Josh Gad for the role of Casey. I saw a thing.
Oh, they did? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I know they wanted...
his schedule, he had scheduling conflicts.
So
he
funny.
couldn't do the role.
That's so funny, because you're like, he's like a less annoying version of Josh Gad, and it's like, they thought that too.
Yeah.
I know Stanley Tucci was supposed to be in the movie, but he also couldn't do it, and so that's why they got Michael Pena.
White dwarfs are usually about the size of the Earth. The smallest possible size for one is still larger than the moon. You couldn't fit one inside the moon. The moon is approximately 1% of the mass of the Earth. White dwarfs' masses are hundreds of thousands of times greater than the Earth. Any object as massive as a white dwarf placed as close to us as the moon is normally would tear the Earth apart with no need to get any closer. That's what I was thinking as soon as he said that. The script even mentions the Roche limit several times, which is how you calculate the point where satellites are destroyed by the tidal forces of their parent body, but misses this obvious flaw.
There's a review I saw on Google Reviews. It's my favorite review. I'm gonna read it to you.
Okay. Yes, please.
Yes.
Give me the review.
This review by Sydney Holt, 1 star. Never have I been offended by a movie like I've been offended by Moonfall. Somehow, they took aliens, Dyson spheres, AI, interstellar travel, and government cover-ups and made it boring. Imagine putting the script of Interstellar through Google Translate 15 times and then making a movie based off of that. Take some of the worst acting and scientific inaccuracies and you have Moonfall. This script was written by flat earthers. You can tell because there was not more than 15 minutes of cursory Google searching done in pre-production. If the makers of the movie had Googled, they would know that you can calculate mass and predict planetary movement with the formula of blah, 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 blah. That's a formula I learned in 10th grade. They would also know that delta velocity over acceleration is 1 and is the most redundant expression to have ever been written. You can't just throw Greek on a paper and expect it to make sense, you posers.
You posers!
The makers of this movie watched a 5-minute video on Dyson spheres and then decided they were authorities on them. Repeat after me, all caps. Dyson spheres, if they were to exist, are built around massive stars. If you believe you have found a Dyson sphere, you should not fly into it unless you want a deadly blast of ionizing radiation and your skin removed from your body. Also, stars are bigger than the moon. It blows my mind that the budget of this movie is $146 million. If you gave me that much money, I could make 146 million movies because the only equipment I would need to make a movie better than this is my friends and an iPhone. Also, massive point reduction for the huge SpaceX ads inserted every 20 seconds. If I were Elon Musk, I'd be embarrassed to have my name anywhere near this movie. As a writer, aspiring astrophysicist, and sane member of society, this movie has dealt incurable psychic damage. It's my moral duty to warn you of this abomination masquerading as a movie. Save yourselves, it's too late for me. I've lost brain cells, and Sir Isaac Newton is rolling in his grave. I now understand what Nikola Tesla meant when he said we will live to see man-made horrors beyond our comprehension.
Jesus!
But yeah. There's a review immediately after that says, magnificent, beautiful, out of this world, amazed. I want to jump and scream with joy in the theater. I loved it that much.
Wow.
But yes, truly a ridiculous movie. And the other thing too, I enjoyed myself watching this movie, so I consider it a win. I would watch this movie again. But the special effects, it really showed the lack of studio backing. Because first of all the disaster scenes, there was like no people. And I know this movie was like made during pandemic, but there weren't even like CG people. There was only like maybe max 10 people on screen at a time. And I don't think they had the budget to include like people running around or getting like flung up into the air or anything. So all the disaster scenes felt very empty. It was just kind of like stuff happening but no people. The LA flooding scene was like, I was so excited for it, but it was literally just like 10 seconds of nighttime water rushing through and breaking things. And yeah, it was just really empty feeling disaster scenes. So definitely not his strongest effort in terms of that, which is really disappointing because the scale of the disaster is like really huge and I think he could have done a lot with it, but the budget or whatever just wasn't working out for that. So that was a little frustrating, but because I like watching his films for the disaster aspects. But truly, it's just it's the movie that keeps on giving, because Jesse watched that movie a week or two ago, and he still thinks about it on a regular, almost daily, arguably hourly basis. Literally, I'll be like, what are you thinking about? And he'll be like, I'm still thinking about Moonfall. And he'll have like another grievance.
Oh my god! I'm still thinking about Moonfall.
Yeah. It is, I would put it in the same category as Cats, as just like, you're just horrific nonsense on a screen. And like the weird whole like yay conspiracy theory vibe of it all, and just the weirdly empty movie, and just it's just a ridiculous movie. I heard that he wants to make it a trilogy.
Moonfall?
Yeah. It says in January 2022, Emmerich spoke about the possibility of filming 2 sequels back to back if the first film was a success. The following month,
Oh.
star John Bradley said that if Roland goes down the direction that he wants to, the sequels would be even more batshit crazy than the first. Whether Moonfall is so bad it's good or simply bad will depend on your tolerance for B-movie cheese, but either way, this is an Emmerich disaster thriller through and through. Yeah, it is. It's ridiculous. I don't think it made that much money yet.
It said, I know it made $10 million opening weekend.
Yeah, the box office is $30 million.
Yeah, I just checked.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a little,
sidetracked. Did you find any other fun trivia?
No, that was my best trivia.
Oh, I see.
Let's see.
Yeah. It's pretty ridiculous.
Well then.
Any other thoughts?
I mean, the white dwarf thing was so stupid. And the humans from billions of years ago is also really stupid. Also, I'm really upset that they killed, like, one of, like, 4 minority characters.
They killed 2 of 4 minority characters. Halle Berry's ex-husband is black.
Oh, I didn't know he died. I might have zoned
died.
out when you told me that.
It was
I might
like
not have been listening.
the editing was really unclear because it showed him in the doorway, and then you see like the room in front of him collapse, but he just kind of like, ooh. So I'm like, did he survive? But then we never see him again. So I'm like,
Okay,
oh.
well now I dislike that they killed 2 out of 4 minority characters.
Oh, and then the scientist, there was a black scientist there too.
I can't believe they killed 3 out of 5 minority characters.
I don't remember if the other scientist was also POC or not, but yeah.
So that's not good.
There's a great scene where they're like, we gotta get to the helicopter, but like the gravity's really weak, so they like moon jump over it.
Oh my god.
They're both just like into the helicopter, and I'm like, I was waiting for one of them to just get sucked up, but they all just got toasted inside the actual helicopter. So, oh, and then the guy in the beginning, the guy at the beginning of the movie was like I think Latino guy who died, the other astronaut. His name was like Ramirez or something like that. And then one of the 3 astronauts who got like punched through, he was black, and then there was a white woman there too, and they all of them died though.
So Roland Emmerich just killed all of the minorities in this film.
Yeah, quite a lot of them.
Yeah, it sounds like out of like 10 minorities, 3 survived.
Yeah.
Great.
But I would say the casting was fairly diverse.
Yeah, it sounds like it, even though most of them died.
Yeah. So. Yep.
Well, okay. This
What
movie's
would
gonna
you-
get 2 out of 5.
I would also give this movie a 2 out of 5. I had a blast in the theater. I was laughing quite a lot. I think if I was in a theater with more people who were kind of on the same wavelength, it would have been a really fun time because people would just be screaming and shouting. But it's not a good movie at all. There's nothing good about the movie, arguably. But it's a movie that will just live in your heart forever.
And haunt you for weeks.
Literally, like, I was like, first, Godzilla and King Kong are giving me Hollow Earth theory. Roland Emmerich is the only one giving me Hollow Moon theory. Like, I just can't get over that scene of seeing the moon spinning around and building a little Earth in the middle. Like, I died. That was just so funny. so funny. The other day I was asking Jesse, I was like, so what about the dinosaurs?
This is dinosaur erasure.
I was like, did they like intend for dinosaurs to show up, or were they like, oops, or were they like, okay, you guys have 65 million years, and then we're gonna make an asteroid and like did the moon destroy all the dinosaurs? Are they just like, nope, wrong human, nope, wrong species until they got a human?
Every time they kept, it was part of their plan. It was part of their 65 billion year plan.
And then, like, if they made another Earth, would the same thing happen? Like, would they just get dinosaurs all over again?
Yes. Maybe they were aiming for dinosaurs, but each time.
Like, the implications. I'm just...
The implications of it all.
I know. I'm like, how much, like, is the moon God?
Corinne, you cracked the code.
Oh, and there's this fantastic shot where, like, when they're describing it, you see, like, the Earth and then the moon just behind it, and I'm like, just as all the neo-pagans say, truly we love the moon is our mother.
Oh my god.
It's just so, oh my god, the gift that keeps on giving, truly. But, yes, I would give this movie a 2 out of 5, but I love this movie, not as much as its far superior siblings, Day After Tomorrow in 2012. I even think Godzilla is a better movie than this, but I would watch this over The Patriot. So, yeah. We'll see how the rewatchability of this movie is moving forward, because I usually rewatch a Roland Emmerich film once a year. But, yes. It's just the stupidest, ridiculous, most sincere film I've ever watched. With the worst dialogue you could imagine. Just horrible. So, yeah, it was great. It was like watching a DVD movie on screen. It was great.
It was great.
Great. It was everything I was expecting and thought it would be. So, people who hate the movie for scientific inaccuracies are stupid for thinking any movie with Roland Emmerich would have any amount of scientific accuracy involved. I don't know what you're expecting, but tailor your expectations.
No one's ever expecting a white dwarf star inside the movie. I can tell you that. I can tell you that much.
But that's actually, like, a theory thing. Like, I was like, oh, he didn't just pull this out of his ass. Like, Dyson spheres and megastructures, like, it's actually, the whole concept is around, there's a dwarf star, a captive dwarf star. And I'm like, how do you not just die of radiation poisoning? I don't understand. But, anyways. So
dumb.
Alright. Well then, if you've seen Moonfall, please let us know below. Any thoughts, even if you hate it. I would love to read it. I want to know. What's your favorite part of the movie? Alright, well, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.